tell us how much carbon costs, if we know what kind of impact it's going to have, then I think there is a much more compelling financial argument about alternative energy, and I think the citizens of our state are eager to embrace that new world. So we clearly are standing at the threshold of a new era. We have a wonderful story to tell in Kansas, dealing with a small town which a lot of Americans became familiar with in the aftermath of a May tornado 2 years ago. The town of Greensburg was basically wiped off the face of the earth. A town of 1,400 when an E5 tornado hit it dead on and basically destroyed every piece of infrastructure, every school, most of the homes, all the power operations. What has been remarkable about the town's recovery, and it is recovering, it is rebuilding, is that the community, in the planning process that quickly followed this aftermath in devastation, made a very key decision. They decided they were going to rebuild the greenest rural town in America, even though it would take longer, even though they'd spend a little more. They wanted the greening of Greensburg to be part of their future, and they are well underway in doing that. In fact, they just installed the final street light. Every street light in this new town is LED. Every building in Greensburg, every public building that is being rebuilt is LED certified, LEED certified. The Art Museum has wind turbines outside the door. Many of the homes have solar panels. I don't know if they come from Jeff's company, but I'll check when I get back. Or have shifted the footprint of their houses to take advantage of the natural setting to be more energy efficient. They have a school that is just beginning to be built, which will be the greenest school in America, and not only have a whole series of teaching projects, but also take advantage of all sorts of opportunities. So when the town rebuilding is completed, they'll be able to say that they're really the only city in America that every building is LEED certified. And that's a pretty remarkable story, because rather than doing it quickly and more cheaply, they really made a commitment to future generations and see that as a story to tell in the future. We're delighted in Kansas to have a thriving chapter of the Blue-Green Alliance, and folks who have come together to begin to do an asset survey, and I think that's really critical. The notion that we could create more than 11,000 new jobs in Kansas and almost $2 billion in economic investments by moving in a new direction. We've identified 425 existing firms in Kansas which could actually manufacture component parts for renewable energy technologies that are already in place, and the skill sets are there. For instance, we're already making hybrid batteries in Kansas City, Kansas, so we're perfectly positioned because we have 2 car plants down the road to build electric cars. We can put the whole piece together. We have wonderful aircraft manufacturing going on in the Wichita area. We build airplane wings. Clearly we could build turbine blades. We have not only the factory space, but the skill sets of folks to do that. I've recently formed a Greenworks Advisory Council to take advantage of this new initiative, and we have a engineering company in Kansas City, Black & Veatch, who is doing international green energy consulting, and the CEO of the company is going to lead our green energy initiative to really drive new jobs, create manufacturing jobs, give advice to cities and counties, give advice to the state government, but really begin to change the culture and bring people together to help make sure that this is not just a fleeting opportunity. We know if we are to realize the enormous potential of this new future, we need a coalition like the Blue-Green Alliance together, working day in and day out with business leaders and environmental activists and policy makers to make sure we are both correctly identifying the opportunities, but also clearing away the barriers that continue to exist, and working day and night to win the public hearts and minds of the citizens. What's interesting in Kansas is citizens are way ahead often of the legislature. We know that the citizens of our state would much prefer, even if it's more expensive at this point, much prefer wind energy to further coal-fired energy. They have made it very clear that they are ready to bear some financial sacrifice to move in a new direction, and they see it as a real opportunity. Interestingly enough, in Kansas, if you look back at pictures or even lithographs 100 years ago, there were always windmills on farms that were moving water to feed cattle and moving water for irrigation. So this is part of our future, but it's also clearly part of our heritage. The farming community has known this for a long time. We have a major legislative package this year that's trying to move some of the voluntary agreements I've had with our utility leaders and make them permanent in the law, both an RPS that's codified. We have gone from less than 3% of our energy being wind to 10% in the last 4 years, a huge leap forward. Our goal was 10% by 2010. We actually beat that by 2 years. We'd like to be at 20% by 2020 or before, and have real net metering and various economic incentives for green manufacturing jobs. And that kind of package, I think, will position us well. But again, Kansas is not alone. I know tomorrow you'll have an opportunity to hear from my good friend Martin O'Malley, the governor of Maryland, and he can tell you a little bit about what Maryland is doing. But states from the east to the west coast and lots of us in the middle are well positioned and eager to take advantage of this enormous opportunity. We know that this will create jobs. We also know that it will create a new future for our children and grandchildren. So I'm thrilled to be here, delighted to work with all of you. We want to make sure that every state takes advantage of its own opportunities for a Made in America energy program. We all have assets to bring to the table. We all have assets to use, and we have assets that clearly can not only help with our future economy, but our future security. I hope that we all will be together in 2020 and be able to look back at this as the decade when we transformed the 21st century for America and brought the new energy future to a reality. So thank you for having me here today. Thank you for what all of you are doing, and good luck.